So, now formally, good morning and welcome to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure to welcome you all coming from all around the globe. We're expecting 2 more participants to arrive and possibly tomorrow an additional 2. But we'll start in time because we have a very challenging agenda ahead of us. So, on behalf of European Affairs Consulting Group, whose representative will join us in a moment, and the European Training Academy, it's a pleasure to launch this September session of Master in the EU Funds and Project Leadership. And by its name, I guess you can imagine the scope and the complexity of this program. So we've prepared some supporting materials for you, and I hope that you've all copied this day's presentation from a USB. You will be receiving throughout each day more materials. Some will be presentations, some support materials for the workshops, and some reading materials.
Ovdje sam pripisao nešto.
I apologize.
Nije više live. Tražili sam neki da ih jedujem. Samo ću
So, I apologize once again. So the program objectives, for those of you who are beginners in terms of the EU funding instruments, we'll provide an overview of all available funding sources and key variables for success. In terms of proposal writing and project implementation as well, and then follow up to it. So we'll show you how to become involved and then progress towards more advanced and complex projects and actions. For those of you who are already proposal writers and possibly coordinators, we'll try to streamline the process of your project design to advance those tools and techniques for proposal writing in order for you to get the maximum scores. And then to deepen your understanding about what the excellence in project management means for the EU funded projects, in order to maximize your usage of EU funding and its reach and its impact. With the basic information that we received about you and your interests, we've tailor-made this program around 10 key questions. The first one, the most common challenge for those who are embarking towards EU funding, is how to identify the most appropriate funding source for your project initiatives. Once you have done that, you'll inevitably find out that there are quite a substantial amount of information available for you to read. And in terms of rules, in terms of procedures, guidelines and so on, these are some of the most demanding funding schemes on the planet. So we'll address the second challenge, which is how to identify those crucial information within the program descriptions and the work programs, and then how to analyze calls for proposals in order to intelligently interpret what are the realistic expectations from the Commission, what they really want you to do, and what they want to see in your proposals. For majority of EU funding programs, it is a prerequisite to work in partnerships. So another challenge is to analyze all the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders in terms of EU-funded programs, I mean, to clarify, anyone who might be influenced by your project initiatives and your actions, and anyone who could possibly have influence on your activities and your success and impact. So it's a really wide range of stakeholders, organizations, and individuals. And out of them, you need to identify their power, their interests, the possible influence on your actions, and select who will you be working with in order to achieve your objectives and to ensure sustainability and maximize your impact. So the next challenge is to how to identify the best partners. Then we'll proceed. If you are interested in proposal writing, with deepening your understanding about key evaluation criteria, the formally proclaimed, and those which you can find on various websites, typically included within the guidelines for applicants and so on. And as well, we will discuss sub-evaluation criteria, those which are not written, but which are the pillars for the written evaluation criteria, to deepen your understanding about why the Commission is asking and how they are scoring the data that you provide, information you provide as a response to these requirements. And if you're successful, well, in order to become successful, to be awarded for a proposal and start implementing a project, or if you've been awarded some money and you then start implementing a proposal, in both scenarios, you would need to expand your basis of power and the range of your tools and techniques, how to exercise your influence. Now, softly, in the process of proposal preparation, we call it lobbying here, building relationships with the decision makers and interest groups and influencers, and trying to influence the process of the decision making and their actions on one side. On the other side, during the project implementation, you'll be facing severe challenges. Any implementation of change brings opportunities, but risks as well. And in its essence, any EU-funded project deals with implementing change, impacting people's behavior. So you'll inevitably find resistance. And you'll inevitably find yourself in a highly competitive arena, one of the most competitive in the world, where everyone are trying to advance their own interests. And it's a constant process of negotiations and finding common interests. So, apart from building and advancing your power base and building a repertoire of suitable techniques, tactics on how to exercise your influence, we'll be also expanding the base of your allies. So we'll be addressing questions how to swiftly and effectively start a teamwork in the framework of collaborative projects. Then we'll proceed to the challenges of sustainability how to ensure that your projects have measurable results, but also that they are sustainable, and to maximize the impact. And the impact is a very important word. I already used it 3 times so far, which might imply to you that we'll be discussing impact quite a lot. So, coming back to the challenges and the dangers, one of the major challenges is how to survive project leadership. And I'm sure that many of you who had experience within the leading changes, designing projects, managing projects, and so on, typically by painful experience, had learned how to manage resistance, how to channel the opposite or synergetic interests of diverse stakeholders and groups. So we'll be building up your immune system and a stomach to act effectively under severe pressure and to maneuver tactically throughout the political milieu of the EU programs and projects in order to deliver the best possible outcomes for your stakeholders and also for your own organizations and careers. So, apart from your individual resilience, building up resilience of your organizations and teams, and advancing your capacity to coach and mentor them through the process. Which brings me to a presentation of the agenda for the next week. As you can see, each one of those subjects is essentially a course for, let's say, at least 3 months. And you can already imagine it will be a very intensive and transformational experience within the next week, with a lot of tools, techniques, exercises, and so on packed into this agenda that we have. So today we'll be focusing on the EU policies, and we'll analyze stakeholders. And as a result, by the end of the day, we hope that you will develop or start developing your project environment folder. A compilation of all the relevant documents, policy documents, and deepen your understanding about EU objectives, strategies, programs, and so on. Who are the relevant actors? Who decide who gets the money? Who decides how we evaluate your results and performance? Tomorrow, we'll make an additional step towards concrete EU funding instruments. And we'll step into core analysis in order for you to design the initial work breakdown structure, to decide on your possible roles, whether you can take a role as a partner, or a consortium leader, or a stakeholder, and how that might impact you. And we'll be also developing your own partners' profiles to shape and tailor-make the way how you present yourself to the others in your area, and become more attractive partner. We'll also create a list of all organizations within your own areas of interest who are currently top performers in the EU, so you can have a good overview of those from whom you might replicate the best practices, or ideally work together and create consortiums. On Wednesday, third day, we'll switch to lobbying and power and influence. So we'll be discussing how to effectively communicate and influence different personality types. Then we'll go a layer above towards groups and cultures. So we'll be discussing how to effectively cooperate with different cultures, and we'll step into the culture of tensions and conflicts and how to use those tensions and conflicts as resources to advance your results. And we'll have also an opportunity where you can practice negotiations with different cultures on a concrete case and create a joint proposal. On Thursday, we'll discuss project design and proposal writing techniques. We'll also, by the end of the day, simulate the situation as if you were working for the European Commission as evaluators. So you'll have the opportunity to evaluate real proposals and take a look at the process from the other angle, from a different seat and different viewpoint, in order to see what are the success factors from the perspective of the Commission. By the end of the 4-day, we expect that you might come with the work breakdown structure and tasks and activities for your projects matched to the core requirements. And that you might also have customized application form, meaning that you will have a structure for proposal writing, which will focus your proposal writing on the key evaluation criteria to ensure that you have maximum scores. On the 5th day, we'll be discussing excellence in project management. By the end of the day, we hope that you will have project scoreboard or a full management cockpit, a range of instruments, how to measure and impact your KPIs for reaching the desired results, planned results. But day 6 will be pioneering in Brussels the training in adaptive leadership. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the theory and the term adaptive leadership. And you have? Brilliant. Anyone else? So we'll be sharpening your intervention skills. So how to, while you're exercising your influence, how to step on the dance floor and interact with the other players, or with Joe and take a look from the balcony to do good diagnostics of the system and individuals and their behaviors, and assess the political media around the different interests of different factions, and predict their behavior and the most effective ways of how to influence them. So we'll be dealing a little bit with how to control the tension between different factions in order to mobilize the adaptive behaviors, meaning changes in behaviors, beliefs, perceptions, and consequent interactions, of course. And the last day will be devoted to practical work. By that time, we hope that you'll have drafts of your project initiatives, a whole new range of instruments, tools, experiences, and so on. And throughout each day, we'll be collecting feedback from you and customizing each next session and continuation of the program in order to match-make your needs and your interests. So this is tentative agenda. It really depends on you. A word or two about methodology. Most of the training for next week will be experiential. So we shall devote necessary time to provide you the theoretical background. But we'll try to circle as much as possible to this, let's say, learning curve, and different theories about how do we learn differ in significant ways, but most of them agree that we take in new knowledges and build up new skills through concrete experience and then a reflective observation of what we have been through and analyzing and trying to create a conceptualization and a generalization whether we can apply what we've learned to a certain experience in different situations, and then experimenting. And this starts from early childhood when my twins learned. I have two kids,